Maybe you already know what to do. You learned the strategies, you worked on your mindset, and you've taken action before. And still, consistency breaks. Momentum fades. Money or progress doesn't move unless you push. Some would say manifestation doesn't show up. That's not a discipline problem. It's not a motivation problem. For me, it turned out to be something much deeper. When I was younger, back in my 20s, I had a great leadership job, management job, and built a business from 2000 to 2012, co-founding it and operating it from 0 to 500 people in my team and 50 shops. And at the same time, I also invested in properties. And when I look back, I was pushing, I was grinding. I forced myself forward. I ignored my body. I ignored my signals. On the outside, it looked like momentum. On the inside, it was survival. I actually ended up in deep debt. $1.5 million. My nervous system lived in constant alert. And action only happened when pressure was high enough. And that's how I learned to function. Back then, when everything was darkest, I made a decision, and that decision was to solve it. From that decision, a lot of synchronicities showed up. I went to the right seminar in London. For me at the time, I found my first high-ticket business coach that I worked with for years. I learned about strategies, hardcore goals, visualization, and it all helped. I moved, and I moved fast. And there was a big shift that had happened inside of me. But again, it only worked when I pushed myself. The fact is that I came out of the debt. I paid it all off. In less than 4 years, I built a business with 60 people. And beside that, I grew a coaching company to $50,000 a month by myself. So it worked until it didn't. Because looking back, my system was still running on pressure. I thought everything was going well. I finally made it. I had money. It looked good. But then my next big collapse came. This was a relationship. A woman that I had a feeling of that this would be the one for the rest of my life. And I invested, and I invested, and I pushed to make this relationship what I dreamt of. But again, looking back, this relationship just slowly broke me down. Not loud, not dramatic, sometimes a bit dramatic, but draining and confusing, and kind of like my energy just disappeared slowly. And again, it was like I was losing myself. And I noticed again that on the outside, things looked awesome. But on the inside of me, it was draining. I was full of frustration, desperation, and I got more and more sick and desperate, not me. And looking back, my system didn't feel safe. But I was just pushing through it. And that relationship, when that ended, was where things shifted. And the shift was not from finding a better strategy. And it was not from trying to fix myself anymore. Actually, it was the opposite, because I stopped trying to fix myself. I broke into 1,000 pieces. Imagine you have a Chinese vase and you just drop it on a hard concrete floor, and it's just in 1,000 pieces. And at that moment, I started working on I wouldn't even say working, but I started on a whole new level. There was nothing else I could do. So that period became about learning who I am. It became about being aware about how I was feeling, what I was thinking. And it became about releasing, shifting, transforming all those wounds, all those trauma experiences that was trapped in the body, all that energy that was frozen. So there was a whole new way of existing and living It was all about my body. It was all about my nervous system. And it was about safety first. And I did learn that action from pressure feels very different than action from safety. And I also learned that when the system feels safe, when we shift those heavy energies, action and consistency becomes natural. And I just realized a couple of days ago that the first period of my life was very much about pushing and grinding and hustling. And with the right mindset and the right strategies and the right support, I created $1 million business with 60 people in it. And my realization was that this was all about the masculine energy. Not the masculine sex, but the masculine energy. That was about direction, effort, structure, clarity, just going for it. And I realized that the second crash for me after that, it was much more in the feminine energy. It was more about presence. It was more about intuition, trust, and being receptive. Now I've been in both the masculine and the feminine energy, and not just for a day, but for years. First in the masculine, then for years in the feminine. And when I started this manifestation community, I was thinking about it as something where we can just manifest with ease. And my idea right now, and what I'm exploring, and we are exploring in the community, is that it's the balance of the masculine and the feminine, not the sex, but the energies. And there's so much power when we as human beings are able to balance, to dance, to flow in those energies. And manifestation, for me as I sit here with all of these years of ups and downs and two very hard breaks where I broke. As I sit here, it's when I have been calm and clear, inspiration comes to me. But if I'm not acting on it, it might be that I'm very lucky, but I've not been able to count on that. So in comes the masculine energy and actually taking the action. But if pressure is inside and the action comes from pressure, what I've experienced is that the result or the manifestation will not show up as what we actually want. So when those two energies, the masculine, the feminine, when they work together, things move, but without force. And that's what I see as power now. So this community first, and then the challenge. This community, the manifestation community, this is not about hustle. And it's not about motivation. And it's not about fixing yourself. This is about becoming aware, learning your inner being, regulating first, noticing what blocks action, and letting momentum come back naturally. So that's why I created the manifestation community. And recently I launched the 7-day manifestation reset challenge. And this is for free too. And the challenge is all about what I spoke about here. It's kind of like a way to begin living like this. It includes short daily prompts, short daily videos, nervous system first, and no pressure to perform. So this is an invitation to start here, if this resonates, to feel the shift. And if it feels right, if it resonates, if you feel something inside of you calling, you're at the right place.